That way, one last car. Let's see if we can grab a BMW word, because we've tried some of the other brands. Maybe I could ask Daryl O'Young just very quickly before he walks off the grid. Daryl, you were a winner last week, and here you are with Craft Bamboo, your team, and there could be another win.
Yeah, I mean, we're well prepared. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the right timing for the qualifying to get that pole lap, but I just hope the guys drive a smart race and get up there and make a couple positions now, and hopefully for the final we'll be there.
Now, on a scale of 1 to really disappointed, where are you on the not being on this grid scale?
Yeah, I'm super disappointed, obviously. Very, very, very disappointed. But no, I'm also really enjoy being on the team side of the things, and yeah, it's really competitive here, all the top teams here, so yeah, really happy to be here and compete.
Well done on last week. Good luck for this week.
Thank you very much.
Daryl O'Young then, winner last week of the Greater Bay Area GT Cup. Right, the klaxon is sounding. We've got, I think, 3 minutes to go before the formation lap. That means I better shuffle off the grid and get back to the booth. And here on the grid, the build-up continues for the Macau GT Cup.
Great work from David Addison down there on the grid. Thank you very much indeed, David. Great to hear from the top drivers ahead of this Macau GT Cup and FIA GT World Cup to look forward to over the course of this weekend as well. Daryl O'Young is such a superstar in this region of the world. He's got his own action figure on sale outside the circuit. Confirmation of the grid with Raffaele Marciello lining up alongside Eduardo Mortara. There's a few wins apiece between the two of them on the front row of the grid. Laurens Vanthoor and Mauro Engel line up on the next row of the grid. Daniel Juncadella and Sheldon van der Linde line up on the third row of the grid. It's Daniel Serra and Augusto Farfus in the BMW lining up on row 4, and Earl Bamber and Christopher Haase on the next row of the grid. Matteo Carioli and Alessio Picciarello on the next row of the grid, and Kevin Estre and Thomas Preening on the next row of the grid. We have a few more rows, and that includes the number 33 car of Ye Hong Lee alongside Adelie Fong in the Hello Kitty liveried car, and that's been selling a few bits of merchandise outside the circuit as well. Jules Gounon yet to find pace over the course of this weekend alongside Frankie Cheng on the penultimate row of the grid, and on the final row of the grid is the 52 car of Chan Wei An with the Audi Sports boss being on your picture just a couple of moments ago, and the final car on the grid is Marchi Lee in car number 70. Chance to have a look at first of all Eduardo Mortara and then Mauro Engel down there on the grid before the door is closed on what will be a very warm office for the next 12 laps around the gear circuit here at Macau. Beautiful livery on the Porsche as we look inside the cockpit and get ready for the formation lap. We go back to number 32, the top qualifying BMW for Sheldon van der Linde. Sheldon with a time of 2:15.216 yesterday, and he's alongside Daniel Juncadella, who knows how to win in a single-seater and drive GT cars very impressively around the gear circuit here at Macau as well. Ferrari is next, and the car of Daniel Serra, and car number 51 lining up 7th on the grid. Chance for our camera crew to get right the way down the order, because the next car will be the BMW, the Rover Racing Team entered car of Augusto Farfus, who has been a works driver with BMW for many, many years, both in GT racing and in DTM as well. And then we're back to Earl Bamber, lining up 9th on the grid, and a quick wave for the camera before the door is closed. Chance to see Christopher Haase as well. So many world-class drivers showing great pace this weekend so far, but they have yet to start a race. That is coming up in just a couple of moments. That car was quick as well. Matteo Carioli in the 120 car, away for the camera, and that car has topped times in free practice over the course of this weekend, and so too Alessio Picciarello, who lines up 12th on the grid on row number 6. The purple car of Kevin Estre, that car has been repaired and is ready to go racing for Kevin Estre, the number 27 car. Just a final good luck from the team, and then the grid will finally be cleared as the engines fire up and create quite the symphony, quite the harmony of glorious different notes for GT cars. This is going to be great around the gear circuit. 12 laps we have in prospect, and the field ready with the eyes of Eduardo Mortara. So often a winner here at Macau in single-seaters, in GTs as well, known as Mr. Macau. He lines up on the outside of the front row of the grid, and we've got that onboard camera with Eduardo Mortara, and that will be something to savour around the tight and twisty corners of Macau. Raffaele Marciello, the engines fire up, he leads off from pole position. You can see the delight in the eyes of Raffaele Marciello after he put in that lap yesterday, and now the important business of getting heat into the tyres starts as soon as they leave the grid, head off on their formation lap for the Macau GT Cup. This is the first race of the weekend. 12 laps today for the qualification race and 16 laps tomorrow for the Macau GT Cup race and the FIA GT World Cup. Right, pick a winner out of this lot. They are incredible world-class drivers in top-class, world-class machinery. And as they head the way around the gear circuit here at Macau, it's almost impossible to work out who is going to end up on top after this race. Last year in this race we had a titanic battle at the start of the race, side by side, with Raffaele Marciello and Mauro Engel, both of them in identical machinery, the Mercedes AMG. Such a unique tone to that car as well. Very low growl to the car. The car looks to be an absolute beast, and they tame it around the streets of Macau in a way almost impossible as the circuit narrows, with the wall on one side and the barrier on the other. The run down through Melco hairpin, almost too tight to get around the hairpin and complete the lap. Adders has returned to the commentary box. Well done.
Can I say ow?
It's not easy with the foot, and you were going at quite speedy pace as well.
Well, it's worth having a sore foot to go and get up close to GT cars. I mean, honestly, I know we keep saying it, it is a mega entry. And you look down there and you think, gosh, even on the grid, it's narrow. And, you know, the cars just exude all of this just raw power, and they haven't even moved. It's quite great being down there. So, yes.
Well worth it.
I think so. And we've heard from a few of the leading drivers as well, so
you did.
All good. Right, who's going to win? I suppose the benchmark is going to be Raffaele Marciello, but as he was making the point, tomorrow's the real tough one. That's the one they really want to win. But then again, they are racing drivers, aren't they?
They are, and I asked the question just before you excuse me, arrived, who is going to win? Well, world-class drivers, so many of them, it is impossible to pick a winner, isn't it? It's really a question of working out which car you like, which driver you like, and they may win, because there are probably a dozen drivers that could win this race. Just beautiful to see and hear the machinery, isn't it?
There's also a second element to this, which is, if you like, the reverse grid, by which I mean those that have qualified out of position. Jules Gounon, first time here, but he's struggled a little bit. Thomas Preining, first time here, has struggled. Kevin Estre, not the first time here, he has struggled. He's only 13th after a couple of offs. Matteo Cairoli, first time here, he's 11th on the grid. You know, all of those you could anticipate to make progress. And to use this almost boring phrase again now, that it's such a good entry, you can't have all of them in the top six. Something has got to give, I get that. But there are a lot of drivers that want to, need to, must do, make progress forward. And
you said yesterday that every winner of the FIA GT World Cup is on this grid, so that gives you an idea of just what a fantastic lineup we've got here at Macau. They want to come here, and Raffaele Marciello and Mauro Engel were two world-class drivers that did arrive here last year, even though it was not the FIA GT World Cup. They still wanted to come, they still competed, and as Mauro said, won here with this team last year. And we've got now the mouth-watering prospect of Mauro Engel and Raffaele Marciello lining up one in front of the other.
The R-bend is the last corner on the lap. That means as the pace car peels in, the rolling start is ready to go for the Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup qualification race. We're racing. Good getaway by Marcello. Straight away, he moves across on Mortara. Engel goes third at the expense of Vanthor. The purple Porsche of Kevin Estra dives down towards Reservoir, eager to make up ground, but Marcello has ticked one off the list. He's got the race lead, but look at Engel and Mortara absolutely toe-to-toe. Audi on the inside, Mercedes on the outside. Look back at the traffic. Danny Juncadella is in a big fight, so is Lawrence Vanthor, and down they come towards the right of Lisboa for the first time. Augusto Farfus right up against the wall. He's the leading BMW, going ahead of Daniel Serra's Ferrari, but it's Marcello ahead of Engel, ahead of Mortara, then Juncadella and Vanthor elbowed out wide. He's dropped a couple of places, and Cairoli with a slide just avoids the barrier.
How do they all get through Lisboa? Absolutely fantastic. I'll tell you how they do it. They are great drivers.
Yeah,
absolutely superb driving to get all of these mighty machines through Lisboa, through San Francisco, and all without claiming any scalps on this opening lap. That was breathe-in stuff, wasn't it?
Well, Marcello then now, he's in the box seat. He leads the way, but Mauro Engel with a yellow flag at turn 4, and that's Matteo Cairoli in the wall, the Tsingtao beer-backed Porsche. I'm afraid the barrel has run dry because it's up against the barrier. So there's a yellow out. I was about to suggest that now that Engel's done one part of his to-do list, he's got himself up into second place. Now he can go after Marcello, but he can't afford to let Raffaele get away. That said, the gap has come down quick enough. You've got two Macau Masters in Mercedes, 1 and 2.
I said it was a mouth-watering prospect with Engel lining up just behind. And oh no, for the 28 car, this is not good news indeed. And a very heavy hit for Thomas Preening. And damage to the back, there's damage to the front as well, and quite a bit of debris on the circuit. That is not good news.
That's the DTM champion, and he's really struggled this weekend, I'm afraid. Thomas Preening has never looked comfortable, and he looks less comfortable again now. Leaders out of Melco hairpin then. Marcello leading in the Landgraf Mercedes ahead of the Craft Bamboo car. Safety car deployed. Safety car is on track as Marcello leads Engel, leads Mortara. And then as they come down towards our bend, the pace of the race will slow. This qualification race for the Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup. One lap will be in the book. It will be a Mercedes 1-2. It is Raffaele Marcello ahead of Mauro Engel. And breathe. Over the line they come then in a moment. And they will see the yellow flags. They'll see the boards. Marcello, Engel, Mortara. Juncadella is 4th. 5th is Farfus. 6th is Serra. 7th is Jelmer van der Linde. Vanthor had a bad first lap. He's 8th ahead of Christopher Hauser. 9th Albamba is 10th.
Do you remember last year on the opening part of the race when we had Raffaele Marcello versus Mauro Engel? Well, I rather like the idea that Mauro Engel was just lining up behind Raffaele Marcello. Thought he might do that, get the best of starts, and then get ahead of Mr. Macau, Edo Mortara, as we recover the number 28 car.
Bad first lap for Porsche, wasn't it? 2 of them gone.
Yeah, it's a fairly quick job to crane the car out of the way. But yeah, you're quite right too. That was a bruising opening lap. And now we've got the prospects of Marcello versus Engel in the same machinery in the AMG. They tend not to call them Mercedes, do they? They tend to call, notice Raffaele Marcello calling it the AMG.
Yeah, Mercedes AMG is the homologated brand name. But there's quite a lot of talking to do in a GT race, so it does get abbreviated, so you're okay, I think, to do that. Even if Mauro Engel can't get ahead of Raffaele today, he'll be alongside him on the front row tomorrow. That'll be tantalising enough. And more debris on the road there. Oh, hello. What's all going on here?
Bit of sweeping up to be done. And under control of the safety car. Got a replay of the start coming up now, so a chance to see that start from Mauro Engel. Here we go. Get the race underway and see Mauro Engel slotted in behind, just goes to the middle of the circuit. Eduardo Mortara still there in second place at this point. It was also a good start from Lawrence Vanthor.
Well, it was, but then he got elbowed back, didn't he, to 8th by the end of the lap. And I think for Lawrence, it all sort of went wrong at Lisboa. But there, he's out-dragged by Danny Juncadella, so he's fallen to 5th. And look at Farfus up against the wall. So in a minute, you'll see the Rover Racing BMW, look, right up against the barrier, just kicked into the air, but he clears Vanthor as well. And Lawrence on the outside here, look, coming into the corner, goes a little bit deep, and he came off the power maybe, and that's what enabled Daniel Serra to jump ahead of him, and Sheldon van der Linde got through as well by the end of the lap. So it all unravelled a bit for Laurens Vanthoor.
Still not really sure how they all managed to get through Lisboa and San Francisco, albeit we had the Porsche of Caroli going off just after San Francisco corner. Yeah, good to see the restart. Laurens Vanthoor was quick off the line, however, then gets swallowed up, and that's what you get with such mighty machinery all the way around and very limited tarmac available on the opening lap. So Raffaele Marciello leads the race behind the safety car. Mauro Engel in the Mercedes in second place, then Edo Mortara in third place. Daniel Giancardella getting a really good opening lap from sixth place on the grid.
Yeah, and so much of that was on the first couple of corners, wasn't it? But that's the part of the circuit that those Mercedes love. You know, they just gobble up that really fast section. They've got all the grunt. Other cars work well at other circuits, and that's why the balance of performance that operates in GT racing is so important, because you're trying to balance all of these different elements. Bearing in mind what you've got on this grid, the Audi 5.2 litre V10, the BMW 3 litre 6-cylinder twin turbo, Porsche 4 litre 6-cylinder, the Mercedes 6.3 V8. You know, you've got big and small, you've got turbo, you've got normally aspirated, you've got heavy, you've got light. You've got to try and balance them all so that nobody has a massive advantage.
And do you know what that means to me? When you go out to the grandstand, you watch all of these cars together, you get a symphony of noise, because they are all different configurations of engine. They all make a different tone. And when you get the two of them, three of them, four of them going through together, it is harmony. It's beautiful.
It is.
The noise echoes around the streets of Macau. With the barriers, they amplify the sound, they echo it back. The walls on one side, the barriers on the other. It is just a glorious noise.
Right, so next year,
yes,
when you're packing your suitcase,
yes,
can you bring some of your microphones, and on the Friday,
good idea,
for free practice, go and stick them out around the circuit,
good
and then
idea.
We can download Macau GT sounds with 12 different tracks, one per brand, if you like.
What a good idea.
And I'll buy mine now.
Would you?
Yes, because I think that would be the perfect soundtrack.
I can do that. Yeah, I can make a top quality recording of this.
Make a fortune selling it to people that drive Teslas, make them realise what they missed. So at the moment, Raffaele Marciello leads, Mauro Engel is in second place, and Eduardo Mortara is third. It's Danny Giancardella fourth, ahead of Augusto Farfus, and Daniel Serra in sixth place. Got to say, Daniel Serra, as a Macau rookie, has been really impressive for me this weekend, because he's just quietly got on with the job. He's not been a hero, he's just got quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker, and one or two of the others, Cairoli and Priming, rookies both, they're out on lap one, and yet there is Daniel Serra, who has gained places from where he started on the grid anyway.
Yeah, doing a really, really good job. I like the idea of this recording, by the way. I'm beginning to think about this. Leave me on my own for a little while. Did you say it would be popular with Tesla drivers?
I thought never crossed my mind.
I think you did.
There, Earl Bamber, number 22 in the blue and yellow Porsche. The blue Porsche is Alessio Picariello. The white one is Yi Hong Lee. He's been a winner of this event when it's not run for FIA status. So we've talked about all the FIA GT Cup winners. We've got an extra Macau Cup winner, Leo Yi. And in fact, don't forget Mauro Engel. If you look at wins, he's sort of 2+1. He's got 2 FIA wins in this and 1 non-FIA Macau GT Cup win. The fact that they're being ushered to stay on the inside there makes me think it's down at San Francisco where we've lost Thomas Priming, so very early in the lap.
Yeah, just on the outside by the barrier after San Francisco on the run up San Francisco Hill, which these mighty machines gobble up. They really do make light work of that hill, but it is quite a hill coming out of San Francisco and heading up to a twisty part of the circuit, past the hospital on the left-hand side, into maternity. The right-hander takes them down to the left-hander at Teddy Ip, with the wall on the left-hand side. Into the Solitude S's, which is the left and the right and the left and the right. Finishing in Payol, the left and the right, to Faroe Hill. And the pinch points at Police and Moorish. We see touring cars going off at Police and Moorish. Imagine getting a GT3 car through those corners, because they are very, very tight.
I seem to remember one year there was a track blockage at Moorish. Somebody ran wide and there was just nowhere to go.
Yes.
That said, we had a track blockage in the GT race last week, didn't we? The Greater Bay Area races. So we're behind the safety car, all of this counting within the allotted time, and within a number of laps as Eduardo Mortara for Absolute Racing gets ready to go once more. He and teammate Christopher Hauser carry the livery of Storm Riders, the fabled story, and he is Cloud and Wind is Christopher Hauser.
Another chance to have a look at the start and the jostling for position as they go down towards Lisboa. Mauro Engel just around the outside of the car that started on the second position on the front row of the grid, and a formidable opponent as well in Edo Mortara. Mauro Engel getting the better of that. Great start from Mauro Engel. Edo Mortara will not be happy to be down in third place.
No.
Watch him on the restart.
I noticed a very colourful Audi there with Hello Kitty livery. So at this point, Alan takes centre stage.
Celebrating 50 years of Hello Kitty. It is the most amazing brand. If you count up the lines on the cartoon, 14 lines make up Hello Kitty, and it has been the most incredible global phenomenon over 50 years, including the fact we have a little stall outside the Macau Grand Prix selling t-shirts, model cars only available this weekend, of the car that we have for Adley Fong this weekend, and people without tickets to come and see the Macau Grand Prix are travelling here from all over just to get the merchandise. The queue was phenomenal this morning, absolutely phenomenal at 8 o'clock this morning.
People on their chairs having been sat there for ages waiting. And it isn't a thing, it's just a brand, isn't it? There's no sort of physical, it's not like a cartoon character, or is it? It's
no,
just a thing.
no. As far as I know, a cartoon has taken place, but post-event. So
Right.
it started out as a little logo on a purse.
At all?
Yeah.
Gosh. And the Kitty of Hello Kitty is Kitty White. She's the height of 5 apples and the weight of 3.
Yeah.
She liked baking cookies and playing the piano. She liked music, art and English.
Yes, quite right too. And has a boyfriend called
Daniel.
Dear Daniel.
Dear Daniel, forgive me. And he's not sure whether he wants to be a cameraman or a ballet dancer.
I think our director has had enough of this.
I must confess, halfway through even what I was saying, I wanted to punch my own face. So
You
I'm with him.
you had me at 5 apples.
Yes.
Depends if it's a Granny Smith.
Got to give credit to Andy Fong, though. He's had a lot of coverage, even if he's not been up at the front. He's the driver of that
Really
car.
has. And
Safety car in this lap, Al.
Car looks brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, a huge amount of thought goes into all of the liveries by the manufacturers as well for this event, because the eyes of the motorsport world are on this event. Throughout the weekend, not just today, but yesterday for qualifying, the day before for free practice. Would you believe people tuning in all around the world to watch free practice? And then tomorrow, of course, for the big one. It is a longer race, a 16-lap race in prospect, but we have now, at the end of this lap, 4 laps complete for our qualification race for the Macau GT Cup, and we are soon to get racing back underway.
So Marcello versus Engel then, the rematch from last year. And of course, although it was a great battle in the equivalent race last season, the Macau GT Cup, it didn't last long because Raffaele had a mechanical problem and retired, I think on the opening lap, wasn't it, down at Melco? It was certainly within the first 2 laps. And here we've got the opportunity to see that battle be renewed. We've also got the likes of Kevin Estre still mired in 14th place, needing to do something there. He is heroic on that restart. Kevin Estre's target is Adley Fong. There, number 50 is the Hello Kitty Audi. 27 is Kevin Estre behind him. So I think there's going to be an awful lot of drama on, as ever, the run to Lisboa, because this, for some, is the big chance. This is the golden ticket on the restart to gain places. So we have started with 20. We're down to 18, and 2 that we've lost are Porsches. That's 2 of the Porsche factory squad in the wall.
Yeah, not the best of starts by a long way, but Raffaele Marciello and Mauro Engel from Mercedes doing very nicely indeed, thank you very much, as they head their way around Melco. That's interesting to watch just how much you have to pull the wheel to get around Melco. Makes it look easy. That is far from easy, getting the car around. And then the ultimate focus, look at the eyes of Edo Mortara. Focusing, barely blinks, does Edo.
As well as Vanthor getting set to go. He is unique amongst our FIA GT World Cup winners for being the only one to do it upside down. Cause a red flag, but won it on the countback. Safety car peels in, and that means we're good to go.
Good to go. The safety car peels off into the pit lane under the control now of Raffaele Marciello, Mauro Engel, Eduardo Mortara. They blast around the final turn to get the race back underway. 4 laps in the book now. How close can Mauro Engel stay to the back of Raffaele Marciello on the run down towards Mandarin? The ultra-fast Mandarin is next. The 2 Mercedes have already pulled out a little bit of a gap between themselves and Eduardo Mortara, who in turn is having to defend from Daniel Juncadella, who is in turn defending from the BMW of Augusto Farfus. That's the run down through Mandarin, and this, the all-important run down towards Lisboa. Mauro Engel right with Raffaele Marciello, pulls out to the left-hand side. They are oh so close, but they go in single file. And goodness me, that's was that Augusto Farfus just collecting a little bit of Daniel Juncadella's car?
So Juncadella trying to go around the outside of Mortara, couldn't quite do it, was slow off the corner. Farfus nipped up the inside and just glanced off him. So you had them absolutely side by side into Lisboa. As you were watching the leaders behind for third, they were level as well. And Juncadella made a move and it's not worked, and he's come off badly. So Farfus has jumped ahead of him. They wriggle their way downhill there. 33 is Yihong Li. He is making progress as well. But Marciello is not yet getting away from Engel. So the 2 Mercedes Maestros run as one. Mortara in the Audi third, and then up into 4th place now should be Farfus. He is, remember, he's another winner of the FIA GT World Cup, and he is hunting down the top 3.
Engel is absolutely shadowing the race leader, Raffaele Marciello and Mauro Engel. There was little to pick between the 2 of them last year in the final race of the weekend for the GT cars. In the end, I think it was a problem for the car for Raffaele Marciello. We saw him go straight on at Melco hairpin, wasn't it? And Mauro Engel goes through and takes the win. That was last year. It's a new year and a new race, and tomorrow it will be for the FIA GT World Cup. They thread their way down through the Melco hairpin.
Danny Juncadella has clearly picked up big damage because he dropped a long way back. There he is mid-pack going around Melco, so Juncadella was certainly roughed up coming out of Lisboa at the start of this lap. So Marciello then did an absolute best sector 2, and Engel pegs him back with the absolute best in sector 3. These 2 very evenly matched drivers, very successful Mercedes drivers, stalwart ambassadors for the brand. Raffaele Marciello is set to leave Mercedes-AMG at the end of the weekend, so very important, very emotional for him that he comes out on top here, but it's not a shoe-in. This is Mortara's view as they cross the stripe. Best lap of the race to Marciello. He's 0.6 of a second to the good. Engel is second, Mortara third. You're riding with Mortara out of reservoir. Farfus fourth, Serra fifth, Van der Linde is sixth, then it's Van Thor, Hazard, Juncadella and Bamba to round out the top 10. There's nothing else to squeeze out of that Audi. Eduardo Mortara can do nothing more with that loud pedal. Engel closing up again under braking, and Augusto Farfus in 4th. Really good on that section of the circuit, the BMW. It was the same in qualifying yesterday. He's done an absolute best first sector. It's
been a slow burner before the BMW in this race over the course of the weekend. In fact, it was a little bit of a slow burner the year that Augusto Farfus won the FIA GT World Cup here at Macau. But when it came to really make a move, it was on the Sunday that Augusto Farfus had a very emotional win for the final race, for being in charge of the Schnitzer team for Charlie Lamb. And very sadly, very soon after that, we lost Charlie Lamb. So that memory becomes even more wonderful for the Schnitzer team and for people involved with BMW as well.
So there is Mortara hunting down Engel. And Engel is still chipping away to get onto terms to challenge Marciello. So it's 3 for the lead. For my money on this lap, it's Mortara that's looking the more racy. He is closing, but then he's going to get a bit stuck behind Engel. Farfus, now look at that. He's taking Daniel Serra with him. And Daniel Serra has not been here before. So the first 4 are all previous winners, and fifth is a Macau rookie.
Yeah, which is pretty amazing, isn't it? As they thread their way now around the Melco hairpin, barely room to get one of these cars around the hairpin, let alone do it quickly and do it neatly, which is exactly what they need to do in order to set themselves up for the start of the next lap and therefore the run down towards Lisboa. The last thing Mauro Engel really needs is Eduardo Mortara right there behind him, because it means that rather than just think about attacking Raffaele Marciello, he also has to think about defending from Eduardo Mortara, the multiple race winner here at Macau.
But I think on this part of the circuit, the Mercedes are going to get away, because this is exactly the section that the Mercedes like. It's really frustrating for Mortara. Look, he has dropped back already. That car works well across the mountain part of the circuit, but you can't overtake. Here, where you can, he doesn't have the grunt to stay with the Mercedes. So, again, the importance of qualifying, and therefore the importance of being up at the front early on. But now, down to Lisboa, as you look back, it's become a Mercedes two-way fight again. Farfus has fallen away a little bit, strangely, from Mortara. Fifth in the background, Daniel Serra in the Ferrari, breaking late. Sixth is Sheldon van der Linde, also here for the first time. And then it's Van Thor, Haase, Junkerdea and Bamba rounding out the top 10. Kevin Estre update, 13th. He's got past the Adley Fong Hello Kitty Audi.
And Augusto Farfus is doing what Augusto Farfus has done throughout the 2 days that we've had up until this point here at Macau. He's gone overall best in Sector 1. He's got some tricks, something he does in Sector 1 that makes him absolutely dominant on this first part of the circuit. Augusto Farfus, 4th place and overall best in Sector 1 on this lap. Daniel Serra has gone overall best in Sector 2. The overall best lap is held by the race leader, and that's Rafael. A 2:17.118 compares to yesterday, the pole time, a 2:14.5.
I'm not saying you're wrong about Farfus and having some sort of magic trick, but I think a lot of it does come down to the car, because don't forget it's a 3-litre twin-turbo engine, and that really is the ideal part of the circuit because it's long enough to really fully open the tap, and he's got all of that real estate on which to exploit that. So that's the section of Macau that is made for that car.
Stretch the legs of the BMW on the first sector, and Augusto Farfus is some hugely experienced driver. He's been runner-up in DTM for BMW and has claimed all sorts of titles over the course of his long career with the manufacturer, and is currently in 4th position. Mauro Engel has just gone overall best in Sector 3, so that's one to watch as well, for the gap of 0.7 of a second between himself and Raffaele Marciello at the front of the field, as was at the conclusion of the last lap, lap number 6.
We're on board with Lawrence Van Thor and Christopher Haase behind him. You saw a moment ago in the Audi then, as the cars accelerate once more up towards the line.
So Lawrence Van Thor, ultimate concentration that you need in these cars around the gear circuit. There is no room for relaxation at any point around the gear circuit. And once again, Eduardo Mortara coming into this section looking very pacey indeed in 3rd place.
Look in the background, Sheldon van der Linde's BMW was all over Daniel Serra's Ferrari like a rash, but he's not quite been able to get up alongside in time, and a big crash for Adley Fong. Adley Fong is in the wall. It's goodbye, Kitty, because that, I'm afraid, has done damage to the barrier. There's debris all over the racetrack. We're going to have a safety car, and Adley Fong's Audi is out of the Macau GT Cup. Safety car is called, and that is a very badly damaged Audi. It was sideways, it hit the wall, and he tried to turn away from the next wall, but he just couldn't. It speared it across the road at huge speed. That is a big accident, and Macau has bitten again.
Yeah, it certainly has, and what was a very pretty car with the Hello Kitty livery is now a very damaged car, and that is going to require intervention in order to, first of all, make sure that Adley Fong is okay, because that was quite a hit into the barrier. Barrier has been, he's out the car. That's very good news. Makes his way away from the car. So that's the first bit of good news, but look at the barrier.
I was just looking at all the debris. Is that kitty litter?
I thought of it and decided not to say it. Thank you.
Second safety car period of the race then, as the drivers currently work lap number 8, and this might take a little bit of time. Now bear in mind this is a 12-lap race, but here it is again. Just lost the back of the car, glanced off the wall. It's got damage already, and look, you can see him trying to steer away from the barrier, but there's no chance. In it goes. The good news is that's recticel more than barrier or concrete, but even so, look at the damage. It's like a bomb going off, isn't it? The car just explodes.
It is, absolutely is, and the absorption of energy is so well shown on the slow motion replay, and everyone else threading their way through to try and get past the car and get past the debris as well.
And that is the key to it now, isn't it? Because there are going to be so many shards of bodywork on the road. That's a long sweep up. to make sure, especially there, that nobody runs over them and picks up any tyre damage. So, yeah, this might take a while, and we're now on lap number 9. So don't be surprised if this runs to the end under the safety car, but we know how quickly marshals and recovery crews are here. But that was a big impact, and you made the point. Great to see Andy Fong out of the car and okay.
Yeah, he was probably quite winded after that. He was walking away quite slowly, but at least he was walking away, because when you see a car hit the barrier, and that's what those Rexacells are meant to do. They're meant to absorb the energy and basically explode the polystyrene or whatever polystyrene type materials inside them. It's what you use for installation on your house. It's really good. It's really light, but it makes a heck of a mess when it's distributed all the way over the width of the circuit, and the safety car having to thread neatly through, and therefore everybody else following the leader as they go through the very, very dirty circuit now. Need a massive Henry Hoover. That's what you need. Yeah,
I would not be surprised if this didn't have a red flag race suspension to stop people having to drive through the debris. May not, but it wouldn't be a total surprise.
You saw the safety car having to tiptoe through, and just because there were sharp bits, and there were the bits of Rexacell as well.
Miroslav Bartos, who is the race director for the FIA GT World Cup, appointed by the FIA, will be looking at it, making a call, and of course they'll be in contact with the safety car crew. The safety car driver, Pedro Cusiero, who used to race many years ago, race suspension has indeed been called, so they will be under red flag conditions. The race will be suspended, and then it will resume, time permitting, but it might be quite a while before we can get things back underway.
It's just a lot of sweeping and a barrier to be repaired as well. Repaired, replaced. So barrier is not something you could just pop back in place like a tyre barrier. It's something that needs to be new Rexacell brought in and secured. It's done its job. It's done a superb job, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it has. It's kept a driver safe, which is the main thing. And, OK, it's a damaged car, but it's going to be a damaged car anyway. The main thing is it's absorbed the impact, and Andy Fong, as you say, probably a bit winded and bruised, but he's OK to get out of the car. So they will return to the pit lane, and then we will await further news. Of course, the timetable had slipped a bit anyway by stoppages in the Motorbike Grand Prix this morning.
This ended up actually starting on time,
did it? Right.
Which was pretty good. Yeah, they did a good job. We were at one stage 40 minutes behind today, so a huge amount of time was made up. Yeah, the opening of the pit lane for the GT cars was as per schedule, so really good work, and that's really testament to the fact that the touring car drivers behaved very well indeed, and we had no interventions or stoppages during the touring car race, which is a good thing to see here at Macau. It's so easy to have a race that has stoppage or safety car after stoppage and safety car. So good work by the world-class touring car racers that we've got here this weekend. They helped us get back onto schedule.
So it'll be a gentle in-lap, and then the Pirelli technicians will go make sure that all those tyres are in good order after having to pick their way through the debris. Matteo Braga and his team will descend on the pit lane and have a look at the rubber. But clearly it's going to be a reasonable amount of time to sort out the circuit. But a huge impact, so it's good to see that Andy Fong is okay. Well, it's been dramatic as we expected, hasn't it?
Always is. Every race at Macau is dramatic, and when you put dramatic cars on the circuit as well, inevitably you're going to have the potential for accidents over the course of a race. 12 laps today, 16 laps tomorrow. But we've also had drama that didn't end up in a barrier, because this battle between Raffaele Marciello, Mauro Engel and Eduardo Mortara was yet to come to its climax.
So we have lost 3 cars from the original 20, and whether the Hello Kitty Audi can be repaired for tomorrow, I think, is a moot point. That was very badly damaged indeed. There are enough Hello Kitty supporters outside the paddock, I would have thought, that can come and lend a hand. It's really whether you've got the parts, because of course for just about everybody this is a flyaway, so there's a limit on what you can put on a crate and get here. So the circuit busily being swept. By hand you can pick up the big bits, by broom you can get rid of the shards, but it's the barriers where all the senior officials are going, because just look how far towards the tarmac they have been dragged. So it's going to take a while to put those barriers back into position, that's for sure. And the FIA officials, the local officials, all toiling away.
Yep, there's plenty of them down there as well, and the marshal's doing a great job while the officials are looking at the barrier. The marshal's doing a great job of sweeping up as much as they can. One of the things that we've been able to do in previous years when we have a lengthy stoppage is to hop down to pit lane and have a chat to some of the drivers, and they're able to look back at incidents that have taken place on the big screen at the far end. That's something that we can potentially think about for tomorrow, because it's quite interesting when you've got an incident that's taken place to have the drivers actually talking through the replay of an incident. Watching the big screen down in pit lane is always quite an interesting insight. Something else that they have to do is to remain focused while they're down there in pit lane, because they don't know at this stage how long it's going to be before the race gets back underway. And that's Raffaele Marciello keeping focus, remaining in car for now. If they know it's going to be a really lengthy stop, then they will get out the car, chat to each other, maybe get a bit of fresh air as much as is available on a warm afternoon here in Macau. 21, 22 degrees this afternoon in the sunshine. It feels an awful lot hotter than that, because the sun is a very fierce sun without any cloud in the sky. Blue sky, clear sky, and Lawrence Van Tour getting a chance to have a chat to the team. Raffaele Marciello with the door just ajar, getting a bit of fresh air into the car. But they seem to deal with temperature in a different way to normal human beings, don't they?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
They're sitting there in fireproof overalls, fireproof underwear, helmet, balaclava, and in a very, very warm environment, 50 degrees plus inside these cars, and they just look as if it's a normal day.
I think it was, I want to say Andy Prio, but it might have been somebody else that years ago used to go and try and train in the sauna, or would go on an exercise bike, but in helmet and overalls.
That's right, with little heaters on.
Yeah, simulate all that heat, so if you can cope with it in training.
They're used to it.
Yeah. And of course also, many of these guys race in hot countries anyway. We tend to think that anything with 2 digits in it is a high temperature.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're racing in mainland Europe or in Asia, you do get used to it anyway, I suppose, but that's not to say it's not hot in the car. It's Augusto Farfus for Rover Racing, the BMW. You can see all the cars remaining for the moment under parc fermé conditions, so drivers not being allowed out, because they are hopefully going to resume the race. In theory, it should be that when the race resumes, it will be behind the safety car, and as they leave the pit lane, then the race continues. Yeah, it's not regridded. That's Daniel Serra. Hat tip to Daniel Serra.
Yeah.
I keep saying it, but I think he's looked really, really impressive, and the sensible way that he's gone about it has been very good indeed. He's got on with the job, learnt a bit, pushed a bit more, learnt a bit more, pushed a bit more, and there he is ahead of some big names like a Vanthor, like a Haza, like a Juncadella, like a Bamba, like an Estra. You know, he's done all right.
There's so many world-class drivers, aren't there, here at Macau, and that's going to be very welcome. Bit of air breathed into the car for Sheldon van der Linde. That's Lawrence Van Tour in the 99 Porsche. Gorgeous colour, that. It looks pretty good on screen. It looks amazing in real life with the sunshine looking down on it.
Yeah.
That car does look absolutely stunning here at Macau.
Outside the paddock there is the Spark model shop.
Yes.
Some of the teams have been really clever and got the models built in advance, but I suspect there'll be a rush on next year when some of these liveries are then on the 143rd models. That's Christopher Haza. A fantastic Audi GT driver, Christopher. There's barely anything he's not won. And that's Danny Juncadella's car. We knew it got roughed up at Lisboa early on. There you can see the damage.
That was with Augusto, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, he tried to clear Vanthor, but it was Farfus that went up the inside. But Augusto went to the right. The damage was on the left, where he ran deep into the corner and rubbed the barrier. That's what delayed him, that gave Farfus the chance to go through. So the Craft Bamboo team trying to make that car safe. Scrutineers happy with it to be repaired for safety purposes. The D2 Racing Porsche, that's El Bamba, double Le Mans winner, don't forget. although he doesn't always drive Porsches now because he's been with Cadillac in the WEC and he won the Nürburgring 24 for Fricadelli this year. He is another very experienced Porsche campaigner, Super Cup champion, Carrera Cup Asia champion. He won the Carrera Cup Asia race here in 2013. And then he went on to sort of global success with Porsche, did Earl, the Kiwi. Kevin S has had a pretty tough weekend in the very smart Cooler Master Purple People Eater Porsche. But the Le Mans class winner, Spa 24 winner, Nürburgring 24 winner, Carrera Cup champion, still surprised, has had such a tough weekend, it isn't further up the grid. That is the Chinese driver Yi Hongli, or Liu Yi, Formula Renault Euro Cup racer, Formula 3 driver, and winner this year of the Shanghai 8 Hours, having also won the FIA GT Cup in the past. Now, this was the Junqueira and Mortara moment. Now, look, Junqueira is ahead, but he's on the outside line, and he can't quite make the corner, so look, bang, he skims up against it, and Farfus glances off the other side. But for Junqueira to carry on in the race, having done that, he got away with that remarkably lightly.
They have estimated in race control, David, that it will take 10 minutes to complete the repair of the barriers. So
right.
10 minutes until we have the barriers repaired.
Do you have any more Hello Kitty facts for 10 minutes that you'd like to renunciate?
Yeah, they've been selling, you say about some of the manufacturers putting together the race car model for this weekend. They have a limited edition, numbered edition that they've been selling outside, so a little boxed edition of the...
This is the Hello Kitty car. Right, okay. You bought one?
Yes.
Yeah, thought you might. There is a slightly chewed Ferrari. That is the car of David Chen, who is the man behind the team being Harmony Racing. That's the 488. Daniel Serra's Ferrari is the newer 296 model. And so there, the team and the officials trying to decide whether they can touch the car or not, because we are under part fairway conditions. Replay here. Does this explain to us how Junqueira and Farfus got together? It did.
That's looking back from Edo Mortara's car.
It is, yeah. I mean, Augusto Farfus, I'm coming through. You know, there was a gap and I'm going to go for it, come what may. So the car's in order, sitting in the pit lane. There is the very popular Marchi Lee, standing next to his car. Number 2 is Jules Gounon, who, because he was a bit far back on the grid, I couldn't really get down to talk to. No. Jules had a tough weekend, I think he would agree. He's looking forward to coming here, but it's certainly been one of his tougher weekends thus far.
It's an eye-opener, isn't it, when you come to Macau for the first time? And Jules Gounon is one of these world-class drivers that we talk about so often, but yet to really master the gear circuit here at Macau. Still working on the barrier. Estimated time was 10 minutes, probably about 3 or 4 minutes ago. Is that a big bin liner?
Yes.
It is, isn't it?
Yes. Well, you need a big bin liner because there are lots of bits.
You do.
Yes. Yeah, Jules Gounon's been racing in Europe, in Fanatec GT. He's been racing in IMSA in America. He's been racing in British GT this year, but first time here. And Jules is one of those rare drivers, if you look at his CV, that's not always been linked to one manufacturer. Some people are signed by a brand out of single-seater racing, and there they stay. Jules was the German champion in the ADAC GT Masters for Corvette. The same year he won at Spa for Audi, for Santalok. He's gone on to win at Bathurst for Bentley and in Mercedes as well. He was part of that Bentley squad, so, you know, now Mercedes, but 4 different manufacturers. And bear in mind that he came to prominence, first of all, racing Porsches in Carrera Cup France anyway. He is one of, I would offer you, the more versatile drivers in terms of jumping from brand to brand and delivering it all.
It's just been noted on the screen that teams are allowed to work on the cars. Pretty sure I saw that correctly. Yep, teams are allowed to work on the car when in the fast lane, which is covered by the regulations. So if anybody does need the car titivated before we get this race back underway, then they are allowed to do it where the cars are parked now, which is in the fast lane of pit lane.
Lawrence Vanthor staying in the car, many of the drivers at the front doing so, rather than hopping out and getting some fresh air, but they're staying focused that way by staying in the car. If you get out, there are more people, there are more distractions.
That's the thing, there's plenty of distractions, there's a chance to chat to people and take your focus away. Look at the focus on Edo Mortara's face. Absolutely pin sharp as he takes a rare blink in the car. One of the most focused drivers ever that you can see in the car is Mortara. Something you need around the twists and turns of the gear circuit here in Macau. And Raffaele Marciello, one of the coolest and calmest characters you could possibly hope to meet, is Raffaele Marciello. Even when you went up to him today and sat down on the grid, happy with that. Yeah, it's also cool, isn't it? It's also calm and relaxed. And that's his car. You can't miss it, can you? And a thank you on the side of the car for the service that he's made to Mercedes AMG over the years. Couldn't quite believe it when he said to you down there on the grid, 7 years with AMG.
I know. And in those 7 years, you know, he's won marquee races every year. It's been quite the most remarkable relationship. And you're right, I mean, considering that he is by birth Italian and he is, you might expect, a more volatile character, he's not. He is just remarkably laid back, remarkably calm about it. Not much phases him. I was telling the story yesterday of when he was in Parc Fermé having won, I think it was his 4th race of the year in Fanatec GT with Timur Bogoslawski, and it was Timur, his co-driver, who said that's our 4th win. Is that right? 4th? And Raffaele just said, I don't know. Just shrug. You know.
He does shrug.
He does
the shrug, doesn't he? Yeah. He's quite a character, is Raffaele Marciello. And that's the back of Eduardo Mortara's car. People tuned in around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you wherever you are. We've got a brief break in the action here at the Gears circuit at Macau. The Hello Kitty car, driven by Adley Fong, a heavy accident with the barriers. The barriers shedding an awful lot of composite over the circuit, and so too big bits of bodywork that need to be cleared up, and the barrier needs to be replaced as well. That's what they're doing. Probably about 5 minutes left for the repair to the bodywork. Bit of highlights of the race so far, and there have been plenty of highlights to enjoy. Lisboa, not surprisingly, has given us plenty of it. That's Danny Juncadella into the barrier on the exit of Lisboa, and on the right hand side Augusto Farfus, just a little brush. I think that was a wing mirror that we saw flying off as well.
Whatever it was expensive.
It was every part of them is expensive, and yeah, Augusto Farfus lucky to get away with minimal damage to that car as well, because the BMW is going well in 4th place.
And that was Adley Fong's big lose coming out of Mandarin, and kaboom! That is a huge impact. But full credit to Macau for moving with the times and putting the recticel barriers there, because in the olden days that could have been far more serious.
Absolutely could. It looks even more spectacular with bits of the barrier flying all over the circuit, and fair play to everybody that was following to. Maybe their tyres aren't quite in perfect shape, picking up a bit of debris, but avoiding the car. Yeah. That could have been so much worse.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen incidents there in the past, haven't we, where drivers almost panic and hit the brakes or slither in, or then get hit by, and the accident gets worse and worse. So, yeah, they did a good job by circumnavigating the imploding Audi. And the road, not quite clear yet, although the barriers are nearly done. We've still got a lot more sweeping. There's a bit more look further down the road, because those bits of car have gone everywhere. 5 minutes now rather, we are behind the safety car restart.
That's not bad, is it? If you bear in mind just the extent of the damage down there. And a week ago here at Macau, we had umbrellas up for rain, and it was unseasonal rain that we had at Macau last weekend for the first weekend. Now they are up shielding from the sunshine, the blaring sunshine, which beats down on the absolutely jam-packed grandstands around the circuit here at Macau. Not only to enjoy all the action, the saloon car action that we've had so far today, the motorcycle action first thing this morning. It saw Peter Hickman take a dominant win. 4th place, 5th place, 6th place, 7th place, 8th place, 9th place, 10th place, 11th place, 12th place, 13th place, 14th place, 15th place, 16th place, 17th place, 18th place, 19th place, 20th place, 21st place, 22nd place, 23rd place, 24th place, 25th place, 26th place, 27th place, 28th place, 29th place, 30th place, 31st place, 32nd place, 33rd place, 34th place, 35th place, 36th place, 37th place, 38th place, 39th place, 40th place, 41st place, 42nd place, 43rd place, 44th place, 45th place, 46th place, 47th place, 48th place, 49th place, 50th place, 51st place, 52nd place, 53rd place, 54th place, 55th place, 56th place, 57th place, 58th place, 59th place, 60th place, 61st place here at Macau first thing this morning. But also, we've got to look forward to our qualification race over 10 laps for the Formula 3 Macau Grand Prix, the 70th Macau Grand Prix and the 40th year we've had Formula 3 cars taking the star role for the Macau Grand Prix.
So there is Raffaele Marciello, the race leader. And remember that they don't grid up. It's not a two-part race. The race, although stopped, is suspended, and then it will resume rather than restart, if you like. So the cars are under red flag conditions, but then they will resume in due course. And this means that the barriers on the track can be made safe without the cars driving round and round and round, and the race just expiring. So this way they do get some mileage in. So we have 3 laps to go. So assuming it's just a 1 lap safety car restart, it's going to give us 2 laps of racing, isn't it?
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong? A mouth-watering prospect of these cars and these drivers. Sprint racing around the gear circuit here at Macau over 2 laps.
Maro Engel with the very spectacularly coloured SJM Theodore racing Mercedes that is run by Craft Bamboo Racing. It's always a delight to talk to Maro Engel. Not only because he's a very accomplished GT driver, but I always feel as though I'm in Australia. He spent time racing with Mercedes and Erebus in the Supercars Championship, and although he wasn't there for that many years, he's never got rid of the Aussie twang. It's great.
It's a great accent. You can't quite work out where he's from. If you didn't know anything about him, you wouldn't be able to work it out. You absolutely would not. But he's a good guy, a great character, and I'm glad you got to catch up with him. He heard your voice behind him and swung round, didn't he? Yeah. Straight away, he was having a conversation. But, yeah, good to hear from Maro Engel. So we're getting close. Raffaele Marciello, in fact, the top drivers have not got out of the cars, and they have stayed focused in the zone. Every single centimetre around this circuit requires ultimate concentration, and this is the opportunity that they could potentially get to be distracted, and that's not what they need at this point. Stay in the car, stay focused, and just do whatever you're instructed by race control for the restart. They have no control over how long they're going to be down there.
No, but for Raffaele Marciello, he knows that he is still in a very strong position because it will be a single file restart. So Maro Engel's got to get up alongside him even to think about attacking, and he's also therefore got to absolutely match Raffaele Marciello's restart. Raffaele will be able to control that, see if he can jump ahead. Eduardo Mortara is good to go. He is the man in 3rd place. One of the drivers, and there are very, very few of them, but he is one that has a waxwork in the museum because he's a Macau Grand Prix winner. He is a winner of this race 4 times. And in 1 minute's time, the pit lane will open. So now, if you're not in the car, you need to be. Engines will fire, and the process of firing up a GT3 car will go through. Start cycle, pit lane being cleared of any extraneous personnel. So there you've got the cars all lined up, good to go. Eduardo Mortara's Audi, which is good through the corners, but a bit breathless, one fears, against the Mercedes in a straight line.
And the problem is there really isn't space to do any overtaking in one of these cars over the part of the circuit that the Audi seems to be absolutely perfect around.
And in fairness, I mean, proof of how it's a little bit out of puff on the exit of Mandarin was that Jean Cadet was able to get ahead on the outside. Okay, it didn't ultimately work, but it does show where the strength of the Mercedes and the BMW is. So pit lane is back open, and this means that the Macau GT Cup qualification race for the FIA GT World Cup is back underway. Race is back on.
It certainly is, and they fired out behind the safety car, down from the hot lane in pit lane, and hot lane being the applicable word this afternoon. It's a hot day here at Macau. See the heat haze down there as you look back from the safety car. Everybody weaving the cars as much as they can to get tyre temperature back up to where it was before the safety car came out, and then the red flag came out in turn as well. So as much weaving as you can possibly do on this wide part of the circuit early on the lap. Do as much of it as you can now, because once you get onto the hill section of the circuit, it's not really possible. Maybe
no, exactly.
a wiggle or two past the incident zone, and the safety car heralds the race back underway down to the right-hander at Lisboa. That amazing overtaking opportunity. If you could put down all the angles that you require for the most amazing overtaking opportunity at the end of a long straight, you would probably come up with something like Lisboa, because it is the ultimate test and the ultimate overtaking opportunity on the gear circuit here at Macau. It's the BMW, the 32 BMW that is, of Sheldon van der Linde. Two of them there are. And Augusto Farfus in the second of the BMWs, and that just on screen, the Rover Racing entered BMW.
That's our Bamba, Alessio Picariello and Kevin Esper, three of those Porsche stars. At the end of this lap, maybe, we will be good to go. It might be that they give it 2 laps, because the second one can get the tyres up to temperature, and then it's a 1-lap shootout. But it'll be interesting to see what the outcome now is from race control. Safety car in this lap then. So as the cars make their way up towards Donna Maria very shortly, we will go racing at the end of this lap, and then that's going to give us a 2-lap shootout to determine the winner of the qualification race for the Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup race.
1 lap is fairly dramatic around the gear circuit here at Macau for a restart. 2 laps gives us double the fun for the remainder of this Macau GT Cup race, the qualification race today. 12 laps in total, and tomorrow we have the prospect of 16 laps around the gear circuit under the control of Raffaele Marciello. Pole position yesterday, leading the race today. The beast of Mauro Engel directly behind, and then Eduardo Mortara just behind in turn. The safety car peels off into pit lane. Very soon we're going to be back under full race speed, and Raffaele Marciello pulls the pin.
2 laps to go then, we're back racing. Green flag waved on the start line. Marciello, Engel, Mortara, Farfus, the top 4. 2-lap shootout to determine the result of this race and the grid for the main race tomorrow. And Raffaele Marciello was nearly half a second up when they crossed the line. Engel is in the wheel tracks then, trying to stay with him on the run down towards Mandarin. Look at Farfus, he goes one side of Mortara. Jinx back in behind him, but he's building up maybe for a move under braking. Engel is staying on the tail of Raffaele Marciello for the lead as well. And van der Linde comes up to have a go at Daniel Serra. The 2 leading Mercedes are almost together. Engel closing up under braking. It is game on.
It certainly is game on. The 2 AMG right at the front of the field, around the right-hander at San Francisco, up San Francisco hill they go. Mortara a little bit further back, but as we've already said, the Audi is pretty good around this twisty part. This is slightly different though, because he's got the BMW of Augusto Farfus right there behind him. He in turn is a winner of the FIA World GT Cup here at Macau. And we have got this battle on for the lead. We have got the battle on for 3rd place as well, because the BMW potentially could get the better of Eduardo Mortara over 2 laps. We shall wait and see.
So you're looking back from Mortara's Audi. At this part of the circuit, the Audi is stronger than the BMW. It's able to be a bit more nimble, threading its way between the barriers. And as the race leader, Raffaele Marciello, tries to shake off Mauro Engel, he drops down towards police with Engel inching up under braking. Mortara staying with him on this part of the racetrack though.
Yep, so Mauro Engel is in 2nd place. He needs to look at his mirrors as well, because as predicted on this part of the circuit, the Audi very good at the hands of Eduardo Mortara. So Mortara is close on the back of Mauro Engel around Donna Maria. The left-hander, it closes on the exit of the corner. The barrier kind of lures you in as they run now down towards the Melco hairpin. Raffaele Marciello turning the lock on the car. So too at Mara-Engel. Now the circuit opens up. They can really let these cars stretch their legs as they go down through Black Sands, down towards Fisherman's Bend. The conclusion of the lap will come at our bend, and the final lap is about to be started for the Macau GT Cup.
So the last lap board is made ready. Eduardo Mortara looks at those two Mercedes, tantalisingly close up the road, but they're going to get smaller in a moment because this is Mercedes country, isn't it, as they come booming over the line then past the pits. Marcello to Engel is 8/10, and then a further 8/10 back just under is Mortara in third place, but you're riding with him, heading towards 245 kilometres an hour through Reservoir. BMWs are 4th and 5th. Van der Linde has got past Daniel Serra, then he's moved himself into 5th spot. It's going to be a really tasty grid for tomorrow's race, with Vanthor having gone backwards for 7th, Christopher Haase 8th, Junqueira 9th, and the top 10 completed by Earl Bamber. To Lisboa for the last time they come. Move from one side of the road to the other. Alessio Picariello has a look up the inside of Earl Bamber, Porsche stablemates, but Picariello absolutely determined to find a way past. Couldn't do it, contact just avoided.
Almost couldn't look for a moment. We've lost a few Porsches during this race. We can't afford to lose any more. And good news that they both got through in single file. In fact, everybody has done down at Lisboa, San Francisco, and now the run up through the twisty section, round through Teddy Yip, the left-hander, and then onto the Solitude S's. The change of direction is constant. It's one side to the other side and back again as they thread their way around with the barriers and the walls either side of this twisty hill section on the gear circuit here at Macau. The race leader, Raffaele Marciello, an advantage at the end of the last lap, 0.8 of a second over stablemate Mara-Engel, and then Eduardo Mortara in third, Augusto Farfus in fourth.
Half a lap to go then as the cars work their way in the 4th sector on towards Melco. Now you've got Vanthor here chasing after Daniel Serra. He wants his 6th place back, and remember, of course, Laurens Vanthor was 4th on the grid, so it's not been a great race for him. He'll be very frustrated about all of that. Second gear becomes third, and then down to first gear. You virtually come to a stop. Lots of lot to get it around the hairpin and then fire it out the other side. Kevin Astor almost tickling the tail of the blue Porsche of Alessio Picariello. Checkered flag at the ready then. It's going to be a win in the qualification race for the Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup for Raffaele Marciello. Another dominant display on the streets of Macau.
Raffaele Marciello, 100% so far this weekend. He took pole in qualifying yesterday. He takes the first race win for the qualification race for tomorrow's Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup tomorrow here around the streets of Macau. And quite right too, the team celebrating down in pit lane. Raffaele Marciello has not put a wheel wrong. Now, Mara-Engel got a really good start, got himself up into second place, and that means that tomorrow the two Mercedes will line up on the front row of the grid. Where do we remember that from? About 12 months ago.
And it got us absolutely enthralled watching the pair of them go toe-to-toe. So the rematch coming up tomorrow is going to be worth watching for certain.
Woohoo!
Last lap of the race, Eduardo Mortara did an absolute best sector, so he might have been frustrated, but he never gave up trying, did he? Farfus 4th, Van der Linde 5th, Serra 6th, top 10 rounded out by Vanthor, Haase, Junqueira and Bamber. Well, it's a shame we had the stoppage, but great racing, great drama, great action, and a superb drive by Raffaele Marciello.
And proof that when you get going after the tyres have lost temperature, you can get the tyres up to temperature, you can be careful on that opening lap, and you can get away without having yet another incident. We've seen it a few times over the last couple of weekends when we've had a restart and the tyres have cooled down, and as a result of that, we are unfortunately going from stoppage to stoppage. But when you've got these drivers with this amount of experience, they're able to really make the most of this. Not sure we're going to get a chance to get down and get a word with the drivers. Are you going to go down, David, on maybe get a chance to...
I wasn't planning on, because I was expecting really they'd get quickly whisked away up to...
I think there will be.
Up to the podium. Might try it tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll see. Try and tee it up for tomorrow, but we'll certainly do the grid tomorrow.
I think pretty much the way the timetable is, the drivers at the end of the race get whisked off as soon as they've done their technical checks to go and do the podium, the official parts first, and then they go to the press conference in due course as well after the podium. So press conferences are taking place throughout today. And Raffaele Marciello, the victor, makes his way down from the Macau hairpin. Mauro Engel in second place, Eduardo Mortara in third place. That's your podium for our qualification race for the Macau GT Cup, and the victorious Raffaele Marciello. Now, I don't think he's going to be as joyful about the race win as he was about qualifying yesterday, because he left it right until the end. But it was just in the end a two-lap sprint, wasn't it, for Raffaele Marciello? And he will come down into pit lane, peel off into pit lane, save the celebrations for tomorrow maybe, when we've got that much more at stake. The title of the winner of the 2023 Macau GT Cup, and at the same time the FIA GT World Cup, that will come tomorrow.
Well, certainly a marker has been laid down, even if it hadn't been qualifying, by Mercedes. Of course, the grid was Mercedes Audi, but the result of the race Mercedes. Interesting, isn't it, that after that you have to go quite a long way down to find a Mercedes 9th. So there's an interesting mix of brands across the top 10, but the top 2, Mercedes AMG. Raffaele Marciello, Mauro Engel, Eduardo Mortara will be the 3 winners that we have on the podium.
So, grazie Lello, it says on the bonnet of the car. Now, Raffaele Marciello, race winner again here at Macau, squeezes himself out of the Mercedes.
I'd love to know who organises parking in a Parc Fermé area. It's the same in every championship. There is never enough room to open a door.
Same person that marked out the parking spaces for my local Tesco, I reckon.
So when you're very tall like Raffaele is anyway, it's not the work of a moment. Mauro Engel gets out of the Mercedes, and then Eduardo Mortara will hop out the other side of the Audi. But the 2 Mercedes drivers congratulate one another. Landgraf Racing ahead of Craft Bamboo Racing, the local team running this car for Mauro Engel. Lauren Granville from SRO handing over the Pirelli caps, because although it's a Macau race and it's an FIA badge, SRO Motorsports Group is given the job of putting the grid together and handling all the infrastructure and all the entries and making it all possible. So it's reflecting the stature that SRO has, that again it's been asked to put this race together for Macau and the FIA. Watch is on, and the team offering to take the crash helmet from Mauro so he can get to the podium unencumbered. So there, Eduardo Mortara getting out of the car. And the FIA officials stand by as well, but Eduardo Mortara in a moment will make his way up to the podium. I wonder whether he's a little bit concerned about something, which is why he's still to be found with the car. Anyway, let's have a look at the results of the qualifying race for the Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup, and it is a win for Raffaele Marciello. The winning margin just over a second in the end, 11 tenths from Mauro Engel, and Eduardo Mortara in 3rd spot. 4th, Augusto Farfus, Sheldon van der Linde in 5th, Daniel Serra taking 6th. 7th was Laurens Vanthoor ahead of Christopher Hauser, and then Danny Juncadella with Earl Bamber in 10th place. So there's the hero of the hour, Raffaele Marciello, who has now taken on Swiss citizenship, the Italian driver, so the Swiss flag proudly represented with him. 11th place went to Alessio Picariello, 12th in the end, Kevin Est, who did make a bit of progress, but a tough race again for him. 14th behind Leo Yi was Frankie Cheng, 15th was David Chen, and then Jules Gounon ahead of Marchi Lee, and we lost so spectacularly Adley Fong. And on the first lap, and possibly connected, we never really got to the bottom of it, Matteo Cairoli, and we also lost, of course, Thomas Priming, but they were together on the grid, and I just wonder whether they may have come up against each other out of Lisboa and towards San Francisco. We'd seen Matteo Cairoli run wide at that part of the circuit on the opening lap, and then a couple of corners later we saw him up against the wall. So the drivers go to the podium. Here is Pirelli, Matteo Braga handing over a winner's trophy for Raffaele Marcello, the man that took pole position yesterday, and taking the Pirelli trophy here as well. Smiles all round. So the podium awaits as the winning drivers are being briskly marched in that direction. The doors at the front of the podium on one side open to allow the Macau podium organisers to step forward. Then on the other side, the doors open to allow the trophy girls out. Then the dignitaries are called forward, and then the drivers are called forward. So there is a process, and the process has started. So it won't be long before we have drivers on the podium. And then shortly, we will have our final race of the day here, which will be for the FIA Formula 3 World Cup, the Formula 3 Macau Grand Prix qualifying race. And very shortly, as I say, the drivers for the podium will be there. So Formula 3 cars back at Macau, they will round out the day. But the GT race tomorrow, of course, the main race will be that little bit longer, 16 laps. I suppose one question is whether or not we're going to see the Hello Kitty Audi once again. Darrell Young there in the middle, winner of the Greater Bay Area GT3 race last weekend, and down behind the Craft Bamboo Racing team. Reflecting on that race. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. This car starting on the front row of the grid, driven by Mauro Engel. Darrell, a very popular guy in this part of the world, the Canadian Hong Kong driver. Go outside to these merchandise stores we've been talking about. You can buy not only merchandise and models in this car, you can buy a little Darrell Young statue as well, a little figurine of a driver that's also had a really good strike rate at Macau, be it in GT or in touring cars over the years. There is the podium at the front of the Macau Grand Prix building, which houses the offices of the staff that work 12 months of the year around to make sure the circuit is safe, to put the entry together. All the races invitational, so you don't, at no point get a guaranteed entry into Macau. It is quite a thing, with only 26 starters allowed for a race. Always there is great interest and desire to be on that grid. In the last few years, all the races have been for predominantly the local drivers from this region. This having a far more international feel to it, and a really feel-good factor as well, as Macau is once again able to throw open its doors and welcome visitors from around the world. So there, in a moment, we will have the podium ceremony good to go, and as the dignitaries are amassing behind the podium, we will very shortly be able to cross to the podium, and the top 3 drivers will be coming forward in a moment or two at the end of the qualification race for the FIA GT World Cup, the Macau GT Cup. That result is tomorrow's grid. Tomorrow's race is the one that they are all so keen to win. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, and it will start tomorrow at 5 minutes past 12 local time. Then after that, there is the build-up for the Macau Grand Prix itself. Benjamin Franosovici of SRO, who has helped put together this grid and make the race possible, standing in front of the podium, ready to cheer the drivers in a moment with everybody else once they are called forward. And a very strong 20-car grid that we have enjoyed for the first of the 2 races. So the trophy girls come to the podium, and that means that in a moment or two, so too will the dignitaries be ready, and drivers can see them behind the podium. The bright yellow, canary yellow overalls of Raffaele Marcello means that we're almost ready to go at the conclusion of the first GT race of the weekend for the qualification race for the Macau GT Cup.
To the 70th Macau Grand Prix. Now it's the Macau GT Cup FIA GT World Cup qualification race trophy presentation ceremony. First of all, let's welcome the top 3 finishers to the podium. On second runner-up, number 40, Eduardo Mortada. Welcome, driver. On first runner-up, number 77, Mauro Engel. And the winner is number 48, Raffaele Marcello. Welcome the top 3 winners. And now I would like to invite Ms. Irene Wong, Senior Vice President of Public and Community Relations of MGM, to present the laurel and trophy to the second runner-up. And our second runner-up driver is Mortada. Congratulations. And now I would like to invite Ms. Wong. Please also present the laurel and trophy to our first runner-up, Maro Engel. Congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Wong. Now I would like to invite Mr. Poon Wan Kun, President of the Sports Bureau and Coordinator of the Macau Grand Prix Organizing Committee, to present the laurel and trophy to the winner, number 48, Marcello. Congratulations. Will all the guests please proceed to the center and take a group photo together. And our winners, you may reach to the top of the podium as well to take this group picture together. Thank you. Yeah, raise up your trophy. Yeah, you may reach to the top of the podium and take one more, please. Thank you all the guests. Thank you very much. Would drivers please remain on the podium? Please remain on the podium for some questions. Thank you, our girls first. Thank you. And now I will pass the time to Chris for some questions to our drivers, please.
Thanks very much. Let's catch up with our top three. We'll start with Eduardo Mortara. Eduardo, well done. Nobody knows this place better than you. 4 wins in GTs, a winner twice in Formula 3. Can you describe to us what this place means to you, what this track is like to drive?
Well, Macau is a very unique racing track where, as driver, you know, you have a lot of fun driving it. You had a lot of pleasure, you know, during these 2 days driving my Audi R8 around this track. Unfortunately, today we could not really, you know, get the first positions, but we still have tomorrow, and we will try even harder.
Do you know where you might be missing out, where you can find a little bit more pace to keep up with?
They were, they were really quick today. I'm sure that we will sit down, you know, sit down with the engineers. Try to look where we can, you know, have some, a little bit more pace, and hopefully we can challenge them a little bit more tomorrow.
Well done, Eduardo. Good to speak to you. Right, second place, Maro Engel. Maro, it's a long time ago, but if you can remember it, please can you talk me through that the start for second place? That was phenomenal, around the outside at turn 2.
Yeah, it's always a tough and exciting start here. Obviously, already turn 1. Managed to get a good run on Edo there, and we're side drafting on the way to turn 2, and I was just a bit ahead, so it was enough to stick it around the outside. I mean, was definitely always a heart and mouth moment, but yeah, it went well, and obviously a good move to get up 1 position, and hopefully we can move up 1 more position tomorrow.
And what a field of drivers to be amongst. 20 unbelievable drivers this weekend. It's really tough out there.
Yeah, the field's incredible, and you know, everyone in this field has won championships, has won at the highest level. So it's really a strong field, and obviously really challenging.
Well done, Mara. Good luck to you tomorrow. Edge past you. This is shaky. I made it. Raffaello, what a wonderful 5 years you've had with Mercedes. You won everything there is to win. Feels a bit like it might be written in the stars this weekend to end on a real high. You've had a fantastic.
To 7 years, not 5, so I'm getting old. But I mean, yeah, I had an amazing 7 years with them. We won almost everything, so I mean, I cannot complain. And yeah, for sure, I will try to end my life in MG tomorrow with a victory for sure.
What does this place mean to you, Macau? Is it good to be back after 4 years away?
I was there last year already, so I mean, me, Edo, and Maro, we were there together last year, so it was different without the people, and I mean, this year it's nice to be back with the FIA GT World Cup. There are many strong cars, so it's fantastic, and if I can win, it's even better. If I cannot win, I will not like anymore this place.
Well done today, great drive. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well done to our top 3. Give them a round of applause. We'll see them all again for the main race tomorrow.
And that top three is Eduardo Mortara, third, Mauro Engel, second, Raffaele Marcello in the yellow overalls in the middle. Yet another victory in a Mercedes, yet another victory at Macau, and great racing that we've had. And we look forward to more because there is a longer race tomorrow for the FIA GT World Cup. The drivers will make their way off the podium and to the press conference. Mauro Engel celebrating in style, and we'll have a look at the highlights of the qualifying race here at Macau.